everyone, and welcome to episode 11, which is also our second episode with Frances Drost. In this episode, we talk about our experience recording our album, Midwinter's Gift, in Nashville, Tennessee. We talk a lot about the doubts that arose through the process and how gratitude and trust were paramount throughout. It is certainly an album that is close to both of our hearts. At the beginning of this episode, you'll hear a short clip of the first track, which is Sing We Now of Christmas. Midwinter's Gift can be purchased at doublekeyed.bandcamp.com. You can also find more information at kirstinmyersoboe.com and francesdrost.com. As always, thank you for listening to and supporting us. And now, here are our lives between the notes.
I was literally pretty worn out. And so I was kind of like, with COVID, I was just like, maybe this is just it. Maybe it's just time to walk away and read the handwriting on the wall. And then you came and said, why don't we do a project together? And I had nothing left creatively. Like I'm normally beaming with ideas, and I just was out.
You're burned out.
I had nothing left.
Right.
Until you said we should do a Christmas album together, and I'm like, oh, it's as if I really had a new breath of life, and I have thoroughly enjoyed doing this project with you. Are you gonna tell them what you're?
Am I gonna tell them? Well, this is supposed to air in the middle of October at some point. So right. At that point, everybody, it'll all come out. But
this is such a key part of my journey. This project is so special.
And I'm glad that you feel that way. I feel that way too, because like you, with the shutdown and dealing with all of that as a musician, I'm constantly questioning my choices of career. I'm just constantly am, whether there was COVID or not. And then when that happened, it was like, what do I do? And it was during that time you had to start thinking creatively, like you were, and thinking of like different projects and or like even like, how can I help? What can I do? Like and just wanting, and as you age, you think about impact. You think about how you can help other people, and in the way that you are gifted. You know what I mean? So really what carried me through the whole shutdown were my students and my family. And because my students, remained like taking lessons over Zoom and that kind of thing. And they, that was my source of income, and then also, and you had like, towards as things were starting to open up, like you had invited me over to play. We had been right before the shutdown in 2019. You and I were playing at Center Stage at Penn State Hershey at the hospital. So we had just started that.
I know, and I loved that.
Yes, it was great. And actually, we probably started that in March of 2019, or June, actually, was when we started it. And so we'd already sort of established something. And I had asked you about that. And because honestly, like, I ask about, or I talk about people being drawn to you at your concerts. And it was kind of the same thing for me, because like, from that very first concert, I was like, I like this lady.
Oh. Aww.
But I just sat there because it was a different concert experience than I had ever witnessed or been a part of, because of your openness and your and sharing, and just sharing those kinds of intimate details of your life, and like and that it's just, you know, I get it. I totally relate to that. I mean, because I've had those kinds of things myself. Um, so I knew, like, almost from the beginning, that I wanted to, like, work with you more. But and then when I saw that you were playing at Center Stage, I was, you know, very curious about that, and I thought, well, you know, that would be cool. And so then I approached you, and you were like, oh, hey, yeah, sure, that would be great. And then we, you know, we named ourselves. We actually had a online, like, we were like having people like name us, and it was kind of a game, you know. And like, it was so our group name, which is Double Keyed, you know, it was the person who won was like a friend of mine's from high school, her son, who, yeah,
I forgot that.
who named, yeah, and I love the name. So anyway, so it kind of started with that, you know, because and you know, with life, you know, there are always like these little seeds that are planted, you know, and you know, and one thing leads to another, and one idea leads to another. And it was last December in 2021. I was in my kitchen. It was December 26th, because looking back in texts, I had to, because I couldn't remember when it was. And so, like, I'm a little, you know, spontaneous with certain things. And so I'm sitting there, like, and I'm making like peanut butter blossom cookies, and I'm listening to Christmas music. I've been listening to Christmas music for, like, you know, like 3 days, like nonstop. And then, you know, the wheel starts spinning, and it's like, oh, well, you know, okay. I look on my Spotify, and like there's not much there for like oboe, and I was like, oh, that's interesting, you know, and why not? And oh, well, we should have more music for oboe. That would be cool. And then, oh, well, what if I, you know, what if I made an album? Oh, that would be kind of. And so, like, and then so the first person, of course, I thought about was you, because I love your music, and I love what you do, and we've been working together, so it was just kind of a natural, like, progression. So I texted you. I'm like, oh, hey, we should we should we should make a Christmas album. And you're like, I forget exactly what you said. You I don't know if you said, I love that. I would love that. That's right. I would love that. I was like, okay, oh great. Now what?
And I meant it 100%. I'm like, wow. Yes.
Yeah. And well, and it was fun because too, and so I texted you that at a point where you were just kind of fried on everything. You had just done your Christmas show and felt like you were out of ideas. And you said that you had been talking to your husband about, you know, what to do. Am I going to stop? Am I going to, like, shut this down?
Yeah.
And what did he say to you?
Well, I said, I'm not going to do I can't do Portraits of White anymore. I just can't. And he said, well, why don't you just do you and piano? Why do you always we've had this discussion in his mind, why do you have to have all these other players? Because I'm a solo artist the rest of the year, and I love the experience of playing with other musicians. So he's I think he gets that now, but he just said, why don't next year you just play piano by yourself? And I said, well, that would be boring. And he said, well, why don't you ask your that oboe friend, to do it with you? And I don't remember how long after that it was, but he planted a seed. I just thought, I have to think about that. And then you texted me and said, we should do an album together. I'm like, yes, but it's not, it wasn't because he suggested, it was just, I just pay attention to what makes my heart sing. And that was like, yes, I would have never come up with that on my own, but yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it was the timing. It was just really the synchronicity. Is that the word?
Synchronicity.
Synchronicity.
Uh-huh.
It was amazing.
I don't know. Amazing. We can just make up words here.
Okay, that works for me.
But right. So yeah, so it's just kind of the timing of it. And then so you suggested, well, let's meet for coffee in January. We'll talk about it. And you're like, give me your ideas. And I'm like, well, I have no ideas. Like, that was my idea. I gave it to you. And this is just me. You know, I have these ideas, and then like putting them into action is a whole other ball game.
It is. It is.
And there is no way that any of this would have happened without you. I mean, in many ways, like your knowledge of like how it works and what it takes to put an album together, from that to and keeping me going, honestly, throughout this whole process, because there are times where I'm just like, oh, you know, what do we do? What do we do? What's next? And because I also wanted to have music that was original, or at least original-ish. So arrangements, you know, had to be written. Yeah. And then you suggested contacting Phillip Keveren, who is in Nashville, because he had written some arrangements for you before, and he had actually written an arrangement for the two of us in 2019.
Yeah.
And we loved it. We performed that on that Good Day, PA.
Yeah. During the impeachment hearings.
Yes, exactly. So our interview there was
once again, the world is blowing up, but we're trying to do music.
Whatever. Here we go.
Oh, now there's a pandemic. Okay, we're trying to do a Christmas album.
Whatever. I'll just make some reads.
But yes, we liked what he did, and there's another case where it's a result of a seed that was planted, and connections and threads, and you just never know when you establish a relationship with someone where it might lead. And
right.
But it's a beautiful illustration of still paying attention to the sparks, the things that spark us. Like it's the beauty of inspiration, I guess. And there is a lot of work to this music stuff, but I feel like as long as that spark of inspiration is there, you can keep going. And I had lost my spark. Like and you gave me a new spark, and it gave me the energy and the courage to get up and work at it again. A new aspect, like this is different for me because it's instrumental. I mean, I've done a couple instrumental albums, but they're just different. And I just love playing with you, and I love the oboe, and now love the English horn, as I've gotten to know the English horn too in doing this project. So I just go back to that. When we're trying to figure out our careers, I've always believed we should pay attention to the things that spark us.
Right. And
because then we can find what it takes to do it. But if that spark isn't there, it's extra hard. And that's what made me kind of go back to, it's still music. It's still music. I just have to figure out what it looks like.
Right.
And so anyway, this Midwinter's Gift album, I say, and I know you feel this way, was such a gift to me. Just to be able to do this. And after having done all these projects by myself, having someone to do it with, and some days just say, oh, this is a lot of work, or this is, you know, whatever, just spur each other on. It's been very special to have someone to collaborate with. That's
Absolutely.
another part
Right.
of it. So
Absolutely. Right. And it's right. And it comes down to like the passion that you have for something. And what you're talking about with inspiration and such too. And right, having somebody there to to work with and just to support and help. Like, you know, you say that, you know, I helped you know, start and bring that spark in the beginning of the idea. But you, to me, I feel like you are like what carried me through, especially this summer. Um, this summer was, it was tough, and like, you know, personally for me. And you know, we started those the house concerts. With, well, you had been doing house concerts, that we didn't talk about that, but you had been having like small groups of people come to your home. And then so for this Midwinter's Gift album, we we did a Christmas in July thing where we were in your home every week in July. So there were 5 Fridays.
and
And
one Sunday.
oh yes, right, yes,
We actually did 6. Yeah,
right,
in
yeah,
one
we
month. Yeah.
did, yeah. So it was a lot of Christmas in July. Um, but the timing of that, you know, I have to say, like the beginning of July, and I know exactly what day, like I hit a wall, and it was the day of, it was I think the first day of our Christmas in July concerts, and like I just, and you know, it's kind of, it's a depression thing, it's just an overwhelm thing, it's just dealing with life. It was, it just got, now don't make me cry, but like
You're on your own.
great, great. So, but you know, and I mean, I've struggled with that for many years, but and I'd been doing okay, but for whatever reason, like it just, it hit me this summer. And so but you know, and there were times where I just I did not want to play, you know, and I didn't want to, but it was like, okay, scheduled this, we did, yeah, I can do this, I can do this. And I was always glad, you know, that we did it. And but anyway, like, but all of that, I mean, really, it just, I'm certainly in a better place at this moment. But it's, I don't know, to have that partnership with another person who is like-minded and have the same passion, and to have this goal and to have this album as, I mean, to me, like this is, I don't know that I would say it's like the pinnacle of, you know, my career. Who knows? Like, because I was also like, well, you know, I might do this album and then I'm just done, and then I'm gonna go work at Giant. Like, I don't know. I
No, just scan the food. Just scan the food. I can do that.
yeah,
Thank you.
I know
Have
I
a
can
nice
do that.
day.
Right.
Give me my paycheck, and I'm going home.
That's exactly right. Because honestly, in the past year and a half, like I have like encountered so much rejection myself, like for jobs that I have, you know, I, at this point, I'm just like, well, there's another one. There's another, okay, not getting that, not doing that. All right, I'm just going to stay on this path.
And I'm standing at the sidelines going, you're such a great player, and you move people when you play. Don't go don't get a job where you can't play anymore. Like, but we all have to walk that path
Yeah.
alone, even though we walk it with someone else. It
Yeah.
is. And I don't know if you've ever read the book The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield, but it really helped me, because he talks so much about how when we decide to do a project, write a book or record an album, or step out, do a Christmas show, whatever, for some strange reason, we always encounter resistance. It comes from everywhere. And I have it on my Audible library book. It's one of the books that I listen to. I try to every year, because I just need someone else who's an artist who says, you will encounter, and it always happens when you get real close to, I mean, I've never had children, but it sounds to me like it's when you get close to delivering a baby and the contractions get worse and closer and closer. I feel like artistically, when we step out and decide to do something like this, beyond the normal thing people do, that's when we just encounter, we get contractions, it gets painful. It's labor pains. So it is labor and it's painful. And I think there's a part of us that just reacts and says, I can't do this. I can't do this. You can't do an album. You can't, just play in the orchestra, just play what they give you. Don't step out and do something like this where it's a part of you and it's an expression of your personal music. That's pushing the limits. And I just think we encounter extra depression, extra challenge. Wasn't that the day your air conditioning didn't work in your car either? Like, it was July.
Right.
It was roasting. You drove all the way from Ephrata to Newville, like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And you had been teaching a music camp.
Well, I
university or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I had like 2 performances that day, and I was fried. Right?
Yeah.
I was certainly.
So Merry Christmas.
At least at that point, my coffee maker was working, because
I'm learning that this is part of the artist's path of sharing your art with the world. You just encounter unusual resistance, even if it comes just from inside.
And that's usually where it comes from, I feel.
It does.
Like, because you're just questioning yourself 24/7. I can't even tell you how many times I have listened to our final files for the album, because I'm just waiting for that mistake. Oh. Just listening. Okay. I'm like, was this really okay? Was it okay? Was it it's a little obsessive, and
yeah. And this is the thing that's hard to explain to people about Nashville, but I think this is what I loved. I was with people who got that and understand that.
Right.
And it's not a normal career. It's not a normal path. And so it's just hard to explain. And there was a feeling of just coming home and being understood. And it wasn't that it was the concrete buildings of Nashville or the recording booths, because they're around anywhere. It was the culture of so many people who go there because they've got this thing. They want to do music and they want to be paid to do it, and they want to touch people with it. But to do it well, you have to devote time to it and practice and marketing, and you're putting your soul out for the world. So there's that anguish of, will they love me? Will they like it?
Right. Or who cares?
And we know how easily people decide whether we like music or a certain group or not. We make that decision very quickly. And so when you're on the receiving end of that, it's like, wow, why do I do this?
Exactly. What was the name of that book that you...
The War of Art.
War, like WAR?
Yeah.
Oh, not the war.
The War.
War, okay.
And then he has another one called Do the Work.
Okay.
But somebody gave it to me once and said, you might find this helpful, and I did.
Yeah.
But
that's great. I'm such a slow reader, honestly. Like, it takes me forever to get through.
Well, and I usually prefer Audible. I listen to
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's what I like to do. But more and more I've gotten to the point where they say such good stuff. I want it in writing so I can go back and refer to it. So
oh yeah, definitely.
I kind of do both. But
when it's a book,
so the album is out. And
supposedly we have the album in hand.
Yeah, okay.
So, and we're birthing it on November 4th if we're comparing it to labor.
Yeah, okay.
So, anyway, yes, go ahead.
How are you feeling about giving it to your family now? Like, You must be. I've been thinking about you because I know part of your heart for doing this project was to leave a gift to your family. So, how are you feeling on this about that on this side of it now that it's done?
Good question. Oh, well, I'm incredibly proud of all of it. Like everything from start to finish. It's just been an amazing experience, and especially the week that we were recording. Like I can't even like you say to me sometimes, I'm still wrapping my brain around it, and I feel the same way that it was just an amazing experience. But yeah, part of it was to number one, a gift to my family. Number two, hopefully, a gift of music and arrangements for the oboe community as well. And uh, you, you know, my family is, like obviously a huge part of who I am, and they've they've always been supportive and helpful, and uh, no matter what I do or how frustrating things are, and for my children, how weird it is to have a mother who plays the oboe. and they don't really get to hear me play a lot,
Mm.
especially the kids, like, coming to like symphony concerts. It's kind of, they've been in their own concerts and they have their own things going on and what they're doing. But it's the album to me is just, it's so beautiful, and it's so, and it, I I feel like, and it's like you said with the singing, it's so personal. Like I feel like just putting it out there is just like ripping my chest open and just serving my heart on a platter. Like it's like, well, here you go, and you feel so vulnerable, and but I believe in it, and I love it, and I'm happy for them to have something, and hopefully, be proud of something that their mom did, um, and just to have a piece of me with them always.
Yeah.
And because they're the heart of me, you know and uh, here I go. But
I'm with you. I'm with you now. This I am crying too. So
they're just, obviously I love my kids. But I'm just happy for them to have something of me with them, and my husband, who has been incredibly like supportive throughout all of this from the beginning, when I suggested this to him, because I feel like I could have like said this, and he'd be like, who's paying for this, like what and like how much time is involved, and like what, but my husband, who is amazing, and a huge music lover, and you can probably see behind me the records
yes.
and CDs that we have in our home, and we have two record players. He's so I didn't think that he would say no, but he's always encouraged, me thinking out of the box, and me pursuing what I love. And I think he certainly understands an artist's heart. And so, and it was a gift that he gave me. And I love that the name of our album is Midwinter's Gift, you kind of had the Midwinter part of it, because the Bleak Midwinter is one of the songs, one of the tracks on our album, and kind of pulled it from that. And to me, like, it's all been a gift. It's all like, I'm all about experiencing things that you've never experienced before, and being able to grab onto opportunities and that kind of thing. And that's what this, like, all around, like gift from the beginning, from my husband to and his gift to me, to giving it to my children, to my relationship with you, and putting it out there, and then and all of the ideas and the support that you have given me has been incredible. And then the gift for both of us to work with Phillip and Kent, that was amazing. That was another gift, and the fact that my reeds did not, spontaneously combust during a recording, also a gift, and then I had a reed, or two reeds really, that worked, but it was magical, and I know I'm going off on a tangent,
No, it's
but
I love to hear, because we haven't really been able to reconnect much since we recorded it, except through phone calls and emails, whatever. And it's gotten into the labor part of it, of
for sure
getting it ready to sell and all that. But it was very magical. And I'll never forget, for me, when I listen to In the Bleak Midwinter, or even still when I play it now, because I still go back and play them, I'll never forget, it was the first song that came to us, the arrangement that he sent us, March 1st. And it was rainy, it was dreary outside. And I was, still in this state of creative blah, even though now I had a spark, but we hadn't heard any arrangements yet. That we had decided to do this and committed to it, but then it's like, well, what are the arrangements going to be? Will we like them, or like
exactly?
And it was
no idea.
I know. It was so beautiful. I just sat there in my chair and just cried. I'm like, oh, this is a good sign. Yeah, I mean, it was a good sign. So sure. Anyway, what did that make you think of?
Well, it made me think of, and I talked about this with you before, about the big overriding word, other than gift, for all of this was trust. And again, trusting that any of this was going to work out, and it was like, it's a financial agreement and a trust between you and I, and creatively, also. It's trusting that the music that was going to be written was going to be something that we liked, and that other people would like, I mean, we had an idea, because we don't, but.
And that's why you ask someone you trust or know, but there still is an element of new trust, because we didn't know what he would arrange for us on these songs.
Right.
But yes, that's a good word, trust.
Yeah, and then the few days that we were recording, trusting that we were gonna be able to get there, that we you and I did an Airbnb and stayed on a farm, not a working farm, but and that in itself also was really cool, and we got to come back and see horses, and
I know,
pet dogs and cats. And see chickens,
Just like Newville. It was just like Newville.
Right. Home away from home, right? So there was that, but trusting, that also Kent Hooper, who was just amazing, and trusting that somebody would know how to record an oboe and an English horn well, oh my goodness, and the recording studio itself, the piano, and just trusting that reeds were going to work, and then there's just so much to it.
And in the middle of this, we did get an email that the studio where we were going to record had been sold to a new owner, and they were renovating it. which, and in my mind, I kind of went, here we go, here comes the fiasco. But in the end, it worked. So, I mean, it was redone and they kept the piano and it was beautiful. And honestly, I was like, I need to hang around Kirstin more often because it seems like everything goes right when she's involved.
No.
So when we actually came home from Nashville and actually had the recording, I'm like, wow, it really worked. We made it all the way through. I don't care about the rest of the journey now.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, we had a perfect trip. And I don't know if I've ever had a perfect trip to Nashville. It's always been amazing, but I don't know that it's ever gone so well.
Right.
And I was just like, so you have the touch.
No, that was not me. There was definitely like a higher entity at work there. So it was, but that's just, to me, like, it was meant to be. It just, like you say, like, it unfolded and it just, I don't know, it just worked. And I was like, you know what, after we recorded, I was saying to myself, I'm like, well, honestly, if this album doesn't happen, it doesn't matter, because what we just did, what we just played, was just an amazing experience. Like, certainly like a bucket list, kind of experience. And, you're just kind of like riding on that high of, wow, that just happened. And just that experience alone was worth its weight in gold. Like, it was.
Me too. I was like, if nothing else ever happens from here, for me, part of the gift was I was able to unplug from a lot of other events. I didn't have a lot of things booked, which, I'm starting to rebound now from COVID with outside bookings, but I just thoroughly enjoyed having a few months of quiet and just practicing the piano and practicing these pieces. Like, all the business side of this that I've walked through these past 20 years, it does take its toll. And for me, it was like coming home and just starting back where I would when I was little and just playing the piano. And my mother would say, I'll clean the dishes, you go play. And that's what I felt like somebody said, you just go play the piano. And Phillip, it's like Phillip writes as if I felt like he made the piano arrangements the way I would like them. And they fit, to me, not knowing much about oboe and English horn. To me, they seem to fit that instrument and us. And there were so many times when we'd listen back in the studio that I tried to keep myself together, but the tears would just, fall. I'm like, hold it together. You don't want to be totally embarrassed in front of these men. But I know they get it. It's just when you've worked so hard to be ready, and then you go in there and you experience the music and you hear it back. It is unexplainable.
Right.
Yeah. Once you get past did I make a mistake? Which the beauty of it is it's unusual. So.
It is. It's a unique experience, and I am certainly incredibly grateful for all of it. It's amazing.
And we should mention that there will be PDFs for sure of the music, the printed music.
Right.
For other players, but for now, we just want you to enjoy the recorded music.
Yeah, like some of the technical stuff, we still have to work out. But what we do know, this is what we know, is that as long as we get the CDs, which we're still kind of waiting for that at this point. So as long as we get them,
and they have music on them.
Right. And hopefully there's music on them. Like, we're not getting into that.
We will make sure there is before we mail any out.
Yes, I'll definitely at least break open one. November 4th is our release date. And at this point, people will already have been able to pre-order them. And also like digital, you can also like download them digitally, and you'll be able to, again, hopefully, if it all works out, listen on iTunes and Spotify, as well as having the physical album, which is so cool. And, thank you to Eric Anderson for all of the artwork on that. It's so cool.
Yeah.
He did a great job. It was amazing. Also, your Portraits of White concert, which you are having this year, is at Messiah University on December 11th, which is a Sunday at 3:00. And we'll be doing about 6 of the songs from this album, I think.
Yeah.
Last time I checked.
7. I think so.
Oh, that.
Yeah. I think so.
The other things too. So.
And we're booking other things with other places. Just the duo, the piano and oboe. It's perfect for Christmas, and it's.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. A lot of fun.
Great idea, Kirstin. You nailed it. You picked a good one.
Okay, in January of 2023, that's when I'll start working at Giant.
I'll probably be in the next aisle over. But they'll be playing our music, maybe.
Yes.
Well, no, that'll be January, so probably not. But
then we'll get fired for having too much fun on the job.
It's so beautiful. I think it could be played all year long. But
I feel so too. I mean,
it's very calming. So
it is.
If you're feeling stressed in July, you can still play it.
I think so. Yeah. And everybody can be a lot less stressed listening to it than me.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Oh yeah, no, this is fun. I'm so glad we're doing this. Yeah, it was only just a few days ago. I was like, oh yeah, I should have Frances on. So, but thank you. Our new CD, Midwinter's Gift, will be released on November 4th, and you can order it on either Frances's website, which is francesdrost.com, or mine, as long as I get it built and ready to go by the time this airs, is kirstinmyersoboe.com. And as you can tell, we're both incredibly proud of it, and it was really a joy to make the journey. And thank you to our listeners. Thank you for listening to our 10th episode. And if you have any questions or suggestions as to who you might enjoy an interview of, or if you would like to sponsor any of our episodes, we have lots of musicians and students of musicians listening in. So please contact us at lifebetweenthenotes@gmail.com. You can find Life Between the Notes on Facebook, Instagram, and video versions can be found on our Life Between the Notes YouTube channel. So follow us at all of these places, and wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. So with that, thank you, everybody, and thank you so much, Frances.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. And then we can do this.